He's got it bad. Like, I did not feel bad for Hawk in this episode. I'm just like, I'm kind of done with everything that you're about. Like, you're just at this point, it's just like you're a waste of space, and I kind of feel like, Dove will be better off without you around.
Oh, no,
shouldn't see
they
it.
didn't develop her character.
They did, we
They
shouldn't-
developed a gargoyle.
I'm sitting here watching it going, yeah, if there was any thought of him ever getting back with Dove, definitely not happening now.
Because it's old, and it's familiar, and it's from 20 years ago, and you don't like things to change, and oh my god, it's Tom, he's using the same picture, yes!
It's not one of those things like when we talk about Disney Plus episodes like Star Wars now and at Marvel, and you're like, either you really like the episode or you really hate it.
And I actually did like that, sitting in the living room of Slade Wilson's mind, when they're having that conversation. It's like, how many times are you going to do that? And then Jericho's coming back like, yeah, well, until I get out of here because you're a jerk and I hate you.
Hello all of you wonderful people out there in podcast land. Welcome to another episode of Black and White Reviews. My name is Will.
My name is Lee.
And my name is Chuck.
And this week we are here to discuss Titans Season 2, Episode, 12?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Is that where we're at?
the faux, yeah,
Is it 12?
the faux
Yeah.
hawk, the faux
Faux
hawk,
hawk.
faux hawk,
Faux Hawk.
faux hawk.
Can I say?
Yeah, yes
Oh,
you can. You
okay.
can say.
I can say.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Thanks. No, I
Welcome.
want to say the first time I watched this and this other time I watched it, this title is horrible. This title is horrible for this episode because there's like a 10-second scene where there's a faux hawk. I didn't understand why they named this episode that. There's a lot of episodes in this series that I don't understand why they titled it what they titled it.
Well, because it's what brings him back around.
Yeah.
That's what knocks him back into reality. So I get it.
Eh.
I
Did you like the episode?
Yeah.
It is
I mean,
what it
they're
is.
getting to what we're finally getting to. You got the guy with the fruitcake and stuff like that, which I thought was a great metaphor, like back and forth. Like, here's my fruitcake. Oh, let me just set it on fire. Oh, this will work. Like,
It was fantastic.
I actually really enjoyed that character. I thought he was great. But yeah, I liked the episode. Again, second time watching it. We still have Gar being, manipulated, and he's not really connecting with anybody yet. It's just like all these things keep happening. All right, here's where we're at. He's cage fighting. Like, Hank is totally just back on drugs, doing his thing. All he wants is cocaine. What?
Sells
Am I in the
his-
wrong episode?
No.
Okay, why are you looking at me like that, Chuck?
Spoiler free.
Oh, really? Spoiler free. Sorry. Is this spoiler free?
I just
This is old. It's not. If you haven't watched this
It's
yet.
still spoiler free. Some people we just started watching.
Dun dun dun. We knew that he was back on drugs. He ended it's like, where do I get real stuff? Okay, so if it's spoiler free, shucks. Sorry. Did I like this episode? Sure. Next.
you could try.
I tried. Continue, please.
I
Chuck?
thought that I was 50-50 with this episode. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It caught my attention, which I do like. I do like the fact that it's gritty. It's still this whole thing is still gritty. They took the whole Teen Titans, show, and they made it for adults, and they made it, more gritty. They made it more intense. The introduction of Q, it was weird. I think that's just, it's weird. To me, that character, when you're talking about like the Q type character, for me, it's always been Alfred, and they basically just.
Why are you saying Q?
Why am I saying Q?
Q who?
From James Bond?
Well, he's not Q.
Yes, he is.
It's okay.
Oh my gosh, that whole scene was straight out of James 007 going to meet Q, and everything that happens is right.
I guess it wasn't Q in Star Trek.
Yeah, but Q has always been from James Bond.
Okay, but Q's in Star Trek too, right?
Just that one character.
Yeah, who keeps popping up in like everything.
Well, only in Next Generation. But
No, he popped up in other stuff, not just Next Generation.
Anything that was like Next Generation, Voyager,
Oh yeah.
Deep Space Nine, that
Didn't he eventually become like part of the crew?
no. But
He had a suit.
yes, but it wasn't part of the crew.
Was it red?
It wasn't part of the. What I'm trying to say is that character was totally Q from James Bond, and they basically made Alfred's character null and void, which but the whole thing though, it was weird because for me it was last episode was how they got everybody else together back on the same page, and they give one entire episode to Hawk on how he comes back in. You know,
Well,
the premise, and it's like they gave a lot more attention to Hawk than they do everybody else.
did we watch the same episode? Because I could have sworn that this episode majority was Rose and her backstory with Deathstroke.
That was part of it. But what I'm trying to say is, last episode, it was how everybody else came together,
Mm-hmm.
aside from Hawk. So they show how everybody else came back too. And they dedicated one entire episode for 6 characters, and then dedicated one episode to Hawk. Yeah, Rose was in there, but I mean, for the gang to come back together, they dedicated one episode to like the least interesting character out of all of them.
He got the most going on, man. He got drug problems. He got bedroom problems. Everything hurts. He's not really feeling all that well. He's falling asleep at the wrong times. Like, he got a lot going on in his life.
At the very wrong time.
He's not doing too well, so he needs a lot of screen time. He got to get over all this. He got to get over this stuff, man. He got to get over all this, and he's gonna need a lot of time to. I actually agree with you. There was a lot of unnecessary Hawk in this episode.
Yeah,
I would have made
really
this
didn't need
more
to do.
Jason Todd.
I would have made this all Rose. I would have fleshed out that story. You've gotten
Well, that's what I'm saying.
backstories of almost every other character on the show, and every other character's kind of gotten somewhat of a spotlight. You haven't really done that with Rose yet, and you get like, the middle half hour of the show is dedicated to her, and that's kind of
Right.
it. I would have liked that to be fleshed out a little bit more.
Well, what I'm saying is between her and Jason Todd would have been, if the focus was on them and him trying to come back and her going through what she's going through, telling her backstory, showing more of what he's dealing with and moving forward. If that was the premise of this episode versus Hawk, it would have been much better. Which is why I'm 50-50, because I did enjoy Rose's story in this. I just would have liked more. It was very interesting.
Is it wrong of me to say that I dislike Jason Todd more now than I did before? Like, this episode made me hate him.
really.
Which is
like
why I wanted more of him to see.
I really don't want any more of him. He's a child. He is an absolute child. And I'm starting to see a lot more of this. Like, I'll get into more of it later, but like every time he's in, like, he's a jerk. His character is being an utter jerk, and he's surprised when nobody really wants to be around him. But then it's like, really? And it's like, here's the moment, and there's a moment in this episode where it's like, you could be the bigger person and understand, because you do understand
Right.
what Rose is coming from. But no, he's still
Before.
a child, and he's still very much a jerk, and it's like, okay, I'm done with you. I'm done with you. Like, you wanna, he went through this entire story arc is like, you want to be the team leader and you want to prove yourself to Dick, and then in a moment where you are like expected to lead and do something and be understanding, because you at your core you do understand, you don't. You cry like a baby and leave.
Wah.
When
Yeah, big time.
I don't understand. But that was one of my big.
I actually gained a deeper appreciation for Rose in this episode.
So did I. I think that was the point.
Yes, that's exactly the point. But yet, I mean, are we done with our 5 minutes of whatever here?
You gotta share your little. Besides, I liked it.
I said it was all right.
He tried. He tried.
I tried.
You tried. I give you an E for effort.
Oh, thanks. This is not an F. So I just gotta say the synopsis of this episode. While Hank is busy cage fighting after breaking up with Dawn, someone steals the Hawk suit. That is the tiniest baloney that is not relevant to this episode. It's like the end of it. It's like, okay, Donna and Dawn, creative, finds a way to rescue Gar from Cadmus facility. Does not happen.
Nope.
Rose reveals her secret to Jason. Okay, yeah, that's relevant. Dick escapes from prison to find Jericho. Dick was already out of prison. This synopsis, that's it. That's the whole synopsis here that we have on IMDb. This does not represent this episode. It does not.
No.
No.
Not even a little bit.
No.
So let's get in.
Rose reveals her secret to Jason. That is what this is. That's it.
Rose. Yeah. This should have been called the big reveal
The big reveal.
for Rose and Jason.
Sure.
I mean, we knew about it as the audience, but he didn't.
No.
We
Dick
knew that they were.
apparently did.
Well, yeah, kind of. Did we know that they were working together before this?
Oh yeah, the end of last episode when she's on the phone with him.
Okay, you're
And
right.
he-
You're right. You're
he
right. You're right.
throws it
You're right.
into
I
the-
forgot
into
all
the
about
pool.
that. I forgot all about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
I mean,
yeah.
it was the obvious in the beginning when they had like pictures and somebody was putting like orange soda in people's beds or whatever. Like, who else would it be? Clearly Rose. Obviously Rose.
well, it was the one orange soda, and that was because it was Donna's.
Yeah, and then you've got the bottle of Jack or whatever,
Right.
and then
That was
everybody
Rose
blames
doing all that.
Jason. Yeah,
Right.
all of it.
Which the orange soda we'll get into. I'm mad about that.
You're mad about orange soda?
Yeah.
Well, aside from Kel Mitchell,
I think that's more next week's conversation than this week's conversation.
Okay, never mind.
I guess so. Aside from Kel Mitchell, when I think of orange soda, I think of that episode of The Simpsons. It's loaded with wasabi. Remember when they go to Japan?
Kind
And
of.
he's like, ah. They sent him down to the boiling lava, but it's really just orange soda with wasabi in it, and that's why he thought he was burning. Come on, you don't. Knife goes in. Guts
I
come
don't
out.
remember. I'm sorry.
Ah, dude.
So the whole orange soda
Hey,
thing
look,
for me
Dad's on TV.
is when they all toast with orange soda and they
Yeah.
tried drinking it. And
yeah,
they go,
Yeah.
this
it was
is
just
disgusting.
disgusting. Yeah.
Yes.
Because of what happens. I think that's next week, not this week. That happens
Okay.
Maybe.
at the final episode.
I don't remember all that much.
Which I went ahead and I watched the final episode. I was watching this and it stopped and I was like, I need to know what happens next. I
Of
have
course.
time. I'm gonna watch it. It's
That
the
was
last
where I was
episode.
at more than a month ago when I was like, I have to
Yeah,
figure
so-
out what
I know.
the way that
So
this...
it's actually kind of funny because I've been watching the 2012 Ninja Turtles with my son,
Oh, jeepers.
and they actually did a really good. There's 2 seasons. They actually did a really good job with it, where
That's
they bring
cool.
the crane in and they do all this stuff. And I'm watching it one afternoon with my son, and we're the third to last episode, and I'm like, it's time for you to take a nap, because he's 4, and I'm like, we'll finish this episode and we'll go down for a nap. And they're 20 minutes long each. They're not long.
Yeah.
And it's on Netflix, and you get to the end of it, and it goes, only 2 seasons left until 2 episodes left till the next season. I'm like, all right, buddy, we can just watch one more episode and then we'll finish the finale later on. And we watch the next. It's like 1 episode left till the next season, and I'm like, let's just watch the final episode, and then you can go down for a nap.
Next thing you know, it's like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I think for me, I was like, I want to see what, because it's Ninja Turtles. I'm like, I want to see what, and they did a really, really good job with it. And I wish sometimes that the effort that they put into storytelling for animation, they would put into live action, but that's just
So
me.
you bring this up, but it's just like I was so disappointed. I went over to my grandparents-in-law earlier tonight, and they had like somebody who I don't know. They're related to somebody. They always what my wife's grandmother does is she goes onto Facebook and like people that she knows and somehow is like related through somebody else, and she takes their picture from Facebook and prints it out and puts it up on like her fridge or something. Like she takes Facebook photos and prints them out. Like that's just what she does. For me, I'm kind of like, that's a little creepy 'cause I don't know who these people are, but that's because I don't know who they are. Anyway, there's this picture and there's a family and they're dressed up as Ninja Turtles for like Halloween, right? And they're wearing like it's not like a full-on suit. It's like they have like somewhat of a costume and then they have the mask and that's their suit. And then like the mom is wearing like a yellow t-shirt. You're like, oh, she must be April. You know, like that's what you got there. And Teresa was like, that's wrong. So my 8-year-old's like, that's not right. And I'm like, what do you mean? I look at the picture. I'm just like, oh, okay. I see what you're saying here. So the father has like a red mask and he's got the R on his belt. I'm like, okay, Raphael. Then you got the son. He's got a D, but he's got a blue mask. And my wife's and my daughter is just like, yeah, that's wrong. That's Leonardo. And he's got a D. That's Donatello. And my daughter's barely seen the turtle stuff, but she knows. I mean, she goes, that's not right.
Every kid knows turtles.
Yeah. Well, because we used to watch the old in 1987 cartoon way back in the day together. Because I have the whole box set, which is fantastic. But like she immediately was like, oh no, that's the wrong turtle. And you see this family, and I'm just like, this dad clearly dropped the ball somewhere because the kid's wearing the wrong suit. You know, hey, let him be blue all he wants, but he has to wear the L. No.
I can be blue. I can be green. It can be violet skies. No.
Okay.
So yeah, let's actually dive into the full thing of this episode. If you are watching this on YouTube, it's going to stop here. The rest of it will be on Patreon. But as always, the full audio will be up on podcast for free. So let's dig right in. Will, go for it. Did you like it? Did you hate it? What specifically did you not like about this? Or like about it?
Okay, so Huck sells his uniform, his suit, for $200 in blow.
But has no idea that
but
he
has
did.
no idea that he did it.
The way that
and
it's
he's
revealed
so
is kinda
mad
funny,
about
but also
it.
really sad.
So
He punches the kid in the face.
Yeah.
Right off the bat.
Yeah. So he
It's like,
goes to the
so
kids.
can I have my money back?
Yeah, he goes to the kid's apartment or hotel or whatever he's living out of, and he's like, "Yeah, I want my suit back. Can I have my money? I'll pay you back next week." And it's like, okay, you just sold this kid your suit. He's got it bad. Like, I did not feel bad for Hawk in this episode. I'm just like, I'm kind of done with everything that you're about. Like, you're just at this point, it's just like you're a waste of space, and I kind of feel like, you know, Dove will be better off without you around. You kind of look like you got some problems.
Yeah, well, she makes that choice too. She's like, peace.
Yeah, which I
She's
don't
out.
I don't blame her at all. Like,
Neither do I.
dude, come on, get it together. And now you're selling your uniform, your superhero uniform, for $200, and then you're going to punch the kid in the face. Like, what?
Yeah.
Really, dude? Really? This is what's happening with this character now. Everything with Jason, like I said before, he's just a jerk. He's a jerk to everybody in his life.
Super jerk.
Anytime somebody tries to get a little bit close to him, he just turns the jerk level up another notch. And here we are where Rachel is like pouring her guts out over this thing that's going on between her and her father, and gives him like the whole backstory, and you get to see everything play out. And even at the end of all that, he's like, "No, F you and F all of them, and I gotta go when," and he leaves. You know, she punches him in the face, and she's like, "Come on, fight me, do something, feel something." He's no, and he's a child. He is
Will,
such.
did you watch the 3rd season?
No.
Okay. All right.
I'm going on what I'm talking about, like, right now. Like, he is.
No, I get it.
He is a man baby. He is such a man baby. I don't care.
He's not even a man child. He's a man baby.
He's a man
He
baby.
is a man baby. So I don't
He's
care.
a man baby.
I don't care what they do with this character in the 3rd season. I am not going to be able to wash this taste out of my mouth. I'm never going to be able to look at this character the same way again. You went on this whole story arc about how you want to impress Dick and how you want to be the leader and how you're Robin and blah, 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 blah. And you have to show everybody up and you're an experienced fighter. Like last season, we were watching him like just get into fights and kill a bunch of cops and like go on a rampage, and you're full of all this angst. But now all of a sudden you're crying like a child because...
shared with you my entire life story, and now
oh my god! Oh, okay. I brought you to the top to the top of the building where I slept because I was homeless. I'm showing you something. Oh, you have something similar going on with? No, Are you kidding me? Are you serious? I don't. I'm done with the whole Jason Todd experiment. I wash my hands of the whole matter.
Yeah.
Everything that happened with Rose in this episode,
Can
I
I
thought
please?
was
Can I please?
fantastic.
Please, when you guys start watching season 3, do not read IMDb. Do not read it, please. Just watch the first episode blind, please. I'm 2 episodes or maybe an episode and a half into it, and I'm like, I gotta take a break. These guys are far behind, but it was like they were going in such a weird direction. I just didn't expect it. I mean, some really interesting things happened, but I was like, I'm not ready for this yet. It's way too different than season 2. And everything you're saying right now is just making me laugh because I know what's going to happen.
Okay.
Please do not read forward. Just
Very good.
watch the episode when you get to it.
So back to this episode of Titans, as I was trying to say about Rose, I thought everything that had to do with her character in this episode was fantastic. I love her character growth. The only thing that I'm
I do too.
questioning is, couldn't they maim her another way to like show that they were fighting, or wouldn't a fight just be enough? Did he really have to take her eye? Did that
But she
really have to
healed.
happen?
But why can't her eye heal?
It's an appendage.
Haven't we had this conversation?
I mean, we did. Listen,
Haven't we had this conversation?
we have.
Why does she have no eye?
That's
Because
not the
your dad
question.
said, I'm going to take your eye.
Why did that?
Got
The
your
question
eye.
is, the question isn't why can't her eye grow back. The question is, why did he have to do it at all? I would imagine that just Dick Grayson sitting back on his couch watching the news, seeing this girl fight with Deathstroke would have been sympathy enough. You don't have to take the eye. It seems like overkill, and she just goes along with it.
She said no, and he's just like, "You're too pretty anyway."
And then she flipped him off.
Flips him off.
and
Sure.
left.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, though, is when she takes the eye patch off, her eye is still there. It's just blind.
Uh-huh. So it's healing.
Is it?
Is it?
Is it? I don't
I
know.
don't know.
That would
So
be
here's the thing.
interesting.
So one of the things that I wasn't a fan of is we've seen this before with Wolverine,
Uh-huh.
the whole cage fight.
Uh-huh.
No one can take him on.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Everyone's tried.
Uh-huh.
It's just Wolverine had a superpower called animadium, like
No. He
claws.
didn't. No, that's
No, no,
irrelevant.
no,
It was
no,
his
no, no.
healing factor that
Hailing.
And he had the claws. He had all his stuff in there.
uh-huh.
What's Hawk's superpower? I go behind the billboard and I snort crack and I snort coke and I go
Yeah.
back in and I'm good to go. I can take on
Yeah.
3 or 4 people all at one time. I'm sorry, I've known people who've done coke and they're not moving.
No, but wasn't there a line in Terminator where it's like, yeah, I've seen people on PCP who can punch through a windshield. I'm pretty sure that was a line in 84's Terminator, right?
Sure.
Yeah, because they were trying to explain away how he did that, and they're like, yeah, but whatever. The whole point is like you're so like roided up and full of rage or whatever that you just punch through things, and that's that. He does that to numb himself. He fights, he numbs himself. He fights, he numbs himself. There was that scene where he was like shooting himself in the leg and like, what's up with that? Well, that's how he gets through the pain, which went nowhere. And I know we talked about like, oh, what's going on? What are people shooting themselves up with? Nothing. It went nowhere.
It went
The-
nowhere.
The nuclear family there went nowhere.
That was a fantastic storyline and it went
Nowhere.
Absolutely nowhere.
where.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'll tell you, I mean, here we are at the end of the season, and you see it still went nowhere, and that was from season 1, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
still went nowhere.
Yeah.
I don't think it comes into play in season 2. It might
We will see.
be relevant in season 3. I didn't get far enough into it. I know that in season 3 they touch upon something, but I don't think it's related. So, anyway. Yeah.
Overall, I like what they're doing with this TV show. It's just that there are parts where I'm like, do better.
Yeah.
Overall, I enjoy it.
I think there are-
Overall, I think it's really good. It's just there's certain parts where I'm like, you tighten that up, loosen that up,
You say Titan?
tighten that up. Yeah, TIT.
Yeah.
loosen this part up, elaborate more there, share more of this backstory versus that backstory, follow this person versus that person. Yeah, where they're headed with it, the only thing I have an issue with is things are too easy to, when it's time to do something, it's really simple.
Yeah.
It's really easy. There's no
I'm not gonna disagree with this at all.
Trigon was done in 10 seconds. Everything else
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what?
And what I love is the journey to get to where they're going is great, but then when they usually get there, it's like,
Yeah.
why was there 6 episodes that led to this?
Who knows?
Oh,
I
sorry
think
about that.
I think one of the big problems with a show like this, and I'm gonna echo something that Chuck has even advocated for, when you have these short, 12, 13 episode seasons and this many characters, it becomes impossible to do every character justice.
Right.
There's a problem here. So I think you have to either do one of two things: either A, not have this many characters, or flat out not have an ensemble and have there be one central character, and the one central character should be Dick and everything revolves around him, or extend everything out by like a good 5 episodes, so make it even 20, and every character gets their own episode and moment to shine multiple times throughout the season. Those are the only two things that you can do. I don't think you can have it both ways. I think the show ultimately is going to suffer from things like that. I brought up the Lost comparison a lot. Where Lost excelled was, yes, every season was long. Every season was 20 plus 25 episodes long. However, they would focus on a character one episode, the next episode they would focus on a different character, and so on and so forth, and every so often when they would rotate, it would like just progress their story even more. That's a fantastic way to tell an ensemble. This is too short. They're trying to cram everything in at one time, and it's going to leave you dissatisfied. You're always going to want more. So that's a thing. Especially with Hank in this episode, should we have seen him high selling his suit? Yes. Should we see a little bit more of that, like how bad his drug addiction actually is, so that we're sympathetic? Absolutely. Like, all of that thing should be there, but we're not getting that. We're getting it in a lot of dialogue. And that's kind of a problem. I don't know. Okay.
Are you Hawk? No, I'm Hank.
I work at a power plant.
Why? And they're back at home.
Hawk left. He got into a limo.
She's like, you're definitely not Hawk. And did you see that he signed her? He signed her. Did you see that?
No.
Yes.
I was not paying attention.
Oh, it was.
Hank.
I was paying attention because it was a train wreck, and it was so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable, but it was hilarious. It was a hilarious train wreck.
He just falls asleep.
He just falls asleep.
She's like, yeah, you're definitely not Hawk.
Oh my God. So
I'm sitting here watching it going, yeah, if there was any thought of him ever getting back with Dove, definitely not happening now.
I really hope at this point it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
like I really hope at this point it doesn't happen. Like, that ship just needs to absolutely sail.
I think what's going to happen at some point is if they do all kind of get back together, there's not going to be a romantic relationship between the two of them.
It'll be Dick and Don again.
It'll be yeah.
Dick and Don.
Yeah.
Dick and Don. Yeah. Night Dove. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like they're going in weird directions here, and having this character Don Dove, Dovey Don, have her kind of like go around. Like, they can't keep going in circles. They just have to like stop any type of romantic thing going on between any of the characters there, because then it becomes too much like Smallville, and that's what I can't handle. That part of Smallville drove me nuts when it became this stupid like love triangle thing. I'm like, can we just move on here, please, and get to, a superhero story and not some teenage love story? Yeah, Arrow. Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Between the sisters.
Yeah.
It was like, come on, please. And then you find out that she's like, oh, whatever. Let's just move on from that too. Anyway, episode's not bad. We're leading up to a finale. I will say I did watch it. I know up to like second episode of season 3, but I don't remember how this really ended. I kind of do, but I also
I
don't.
just watched it.
I know.
I'll say I just
Yeah.
watched it and I was like, but I do have a question for you. What were you guys' thoughts on Rose's costume? Specifically her helmet.
Baby stroke.
Eh,
It was weird.
eh,
Broke.
eh.
It was weird.
I liked everything but the helmet.
Yeah, the helmet was kind of goofy.
Yeah.
Like it was like a half helmet.
The
Yeah,
helmet
but
was a
isn't that
little goofy.
isn't that a character though? Like, and
I have
that's
no
she's
idea.
actually a
I
comic
don't.
character.
I have no idea. I have no idea. I do think the
I
whole
looked it up earlier,
training.
and that's why I got a bunch of noise. But
I do like the whole training thing that was going
Rose
on between
Wilson.
her and Deathstroke. In
yeah,
this
she looks like
episode,
that.
Yeah, it was really good. The fights.
the fights were really good. The training was really good. I liked that. How do I say this? I like that he wasn't taking it easy on her. Like he was actually trying to hurt her, and she like
Mhm.
was learning how to deal with all of that. I think that's fantastic character growth, even though
Stabbed
probably.
her in the arm.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then outside of his ring that he's fighting in is just like nails. So when you fall
Oh, yeah.
onto nails.
Yeah. Or well, like even before that, when she shows up to his house and she shoots herself in the hand, just to be like, I got questions. Like it's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah, the big thing about her character, Rose, well, yeah, she's basically just known as Rose Wilson. I don't think she actually has like a character name besides Rose Wilson. Oh, Ravager? Maybe it's Ravager?
Ravager.
Ravager, not Revenger. Ravager. Yeah, so she basically when was she introduced? 1992 issue of Deathstroke, the Terminator.
Okay.
Number 15. So that's where she was introduced. But yeah, Cambodia. All right. Anyway, she trained under Deathstroke and she also trained under Nightwing. So this character is, has been established, and she did look like that. The costume that they showed in the show is very, very similar to the costume that she was in the comics. So it's not far off. I know you have an issue with the mask, but it was always like a half mask, more of like a Ninja Turtle like tie back type mask.
This was a pullover. Like
Yeah.
it was like a face mask that's just resting on top of her head.
Yeah.
It
don't
looked
like
like a
that.
Halloween mask.
Yes.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It looked
It looked like
plastic.
a
It looked
Halloween
very
mask. Fake,
Yeah,
plastic.
big eye. Yeah,
Looks like it would
very,
be
like,
really
Spider-Man
uncomfortable
looking
to
eyeball.
wear.
Yeah, but tied in the back. Plastic in the front, tied in the back. That's kind of what they did there. It was strange.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, overall, again, I like the way her costume was. Again, I like the helmet. I enjoyed the training montage. I will say that this TV show does not overdo the montage. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
There's not
Doesn't
a
overdo
montage
it at all. No.
Nope.
That's a thing. That's a positive. One thing in this episode that I really liked, that I actually laughed a lot about, was when Corey and Rachel are having their fight in the car. And Corey's like, I'm sorry, you're an intergalactic space witch that had a bad dream. And
Yeah.
and Rachel snaps right back at her with,
Who's the
okay, I'm
space witch?"
sorry. I'm sorry, Princess Alien Pink Hair from Planet Tamara or whatever. And it's this whole thing between the two of them, and then they immediately make up. I actually thought that was really cool. I like that. I like their back and forth. I like their banter. I like that. I thought that was funny.
Rachel looked older in this episode than she has in any part of the seasons and episodes prior to.
Well, I feel like we haven't seen her in like 5 episodes, and when we did, it was so quick and pointless.
Yeah.
Oh, right, because they still haven't developed her character.
Well, they did.
They did.
Oh,
we
no,
just
no,
didn't
no.
see
They
it.
didn't develop her character.
Oh, yes, they
did.
They developed
We
the
just don't like
gargoyle.
what they did. They developed her
Gargoyle?
character. We just don't like
Yeah.
the way that it developed.
The gargoyle
The
That-
gargoyle that killed
killed the
the
dude.
guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened with her. That's it. She was looking for gluten-free food, and then a gargoyle came and killed a dude.
Yeah, but she's
That's it.
she's pretty proficient with her powers now.
Eh,
it's
Eh.
unexplainable
Now
why
we
she
never
is.
see it. Yeah, exactly.
That's
Not
what-
explained.
That's what I'm saying. Is that
She does it, and then this thing happens, and there's no explanation.
what thing happens?
The gargoyle thing.
That was like 2 episodes ago.
Exactly. It's the only thing that happened with her character in this entire season,
True.
besides the beginning when it was like actually the end of last season, or should have been.
Well, no, because she also helps with Connor. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah. She did a thing, like a force field thing with fire.
Yeah.
now she can control her powers with other people. I've watched.
Mm.
She's
I think-
got. It's just weird. The whole thing is just weird because that's the part I wasn't happy with. Is
The whole first season was all about her,
and then,
and then they just walked away.
Well, the whole first season was about her and Dick.
right.
Yeah,
And now it's just like they're trying to make it about everybody.
yeah. And I feel like we haven't heard about Connor in episodes,
been a
like
while.
multiple episodes.
He was in the
And,
bed.
but we know he's with Cadmus. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't know anything else.
Not
Like they
really.
said it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's where he is, I guess. But they showed Gar, and
this
really,
is why.
really
This is
nothing else.
why I should never have watched the final episode because now I'm like,
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, I know exactly what happened with him, and I'm just
right. I know.
Yes.
yeah.
Yep.
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 Yeah, I just I get torn because it's not one of those things like we talk about Disney Plus episodes like Star Wars now and at Marvel, and you're like, either you really like the episode or you really hate it. I haven't really hated an episode of Titans yet,
No.
but there are aspects of it where I'm like, I could have done without that, or that would have been better.
Right.
Overall, I really enjoyed it. I just wish that they would, to Will's point, I wish that they would add in 3 or 4 more episodes, maybe 5 more episodes, make this a 16 to 17 episode season and fill in all the gaps that are missing.
Yeah.
One episode focused on Rachel towards the end and showing the culmination of her powers coming into what they are now would have been fine. Would have been enough. And we didn't get that.
No arguments.
And I feel like they were like, hey, if we don't say anything, no one's going to say, no one's going to say anything. Versus, hey, let's actually do it. And there was no writer's strike going on then. There was no director strike going on then. This was 2019 through. This was 2020 for that one. I think COVID happened. But
Yeah.
I mean, they were filming this in 19. It got
Yeah.
released in 20.
Yeah. 100%.
So.
And I feel like, oh man, I feel like on a show that had a better grasp on what they wanted to do with a lot of these characters, there would be a lot less holes. For example, now I'm going to talk about Dick for a second, because he shows back up at Jericho's mom's house and they have their conversation, and then he goes to see the person who's going to be making his suit. So
Dude, the fruitcake guy.
how is there not like an all-out manhunt for him? How is he just roaming around, going from location to location?
Because he's the good guy.
Yeah, well, because he wears a baseball cap, like Captain America.
Oh, the baseball cap.
Yeah, you never recognize him wearing a hat.
Okay.
Glasses.
So, are we just gonna like
Glasses,
pretend? Like, are we gonna go into next season just
DC.
pretending like he wasn't in prison? Kind of like
It's
we're
DC.
pretending. Kind of like we're pretending that he wasn't a detective. That he just kind of like
Yeah.
up and left his job, and like we heard nothing
Absolutely.
about that. Are we gonna
Think about
pretend
Dick.
like? Are we gonna pretend like? Are we just gonna
I forgot
ignore
all
the fact
about
that he
that.
has? Are we gonna ignore the fact that he has an unlimited bank account? Are we gonna ignore the fact that the whole first season and all of this season seemingly was all about him kind of breaking away from Bruce, but now we have Bruce making phone calls on his behalf and like paying for a new suit for him? Are we gonna
Yeah.
ignore that he was in prison and that like nobody's looking for him? Like, are we just gonna pretend like all of this didn't happen and we're just gonna go with it because, like Lee just said, Dick is the good guy? Like, is that what we're supposed to do?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
So, reason being,
Okay.
if you haven't caught on yet, anything.
Hold on.
Anything
He
that
does
brings
not like that answer at all.
anything that has to do with reality with Dick Grayson doesn't matter.
Nope.
Anything that has to do with him as a superhero matters.
Nope.
But anything as Dick Grayson does not matter. We don't care
You
about
know,
his job. We don't care about his convictions. We don't care about anything that he did or any connection as Dick Grayson. We all just forget about him.
You know,
because
there's
he's a
only
forgettable
one.
character.
There's only
We
one
only
person.
care about Robin and Nightwing.
There's only one. There's only one person in noted history that I can think of that escaped from prison twice, and that's Ted Bundy. But you know what? He had a 180 IQ. I do not think Dick Grayson has a 180 IQ or is smart enough to be able to escape from prison twice. Twice. He escaped from prison twice, and we don't know how. We got no answers. It's unbelievable. I can't wrap my head around what they're doing with him. Is it because he's Dick Grayson? Because he's the chosen of Batman? No.
Yeah.
Whatever he wants. I mean, I love the fact that they went to go save him from prison, and he was already just gone.
Gone.
And there was no explanation at all.
Zero.
Or even how he escaped in the first place to go, like, save those guys that were trying to escape
when they
escape.
yeah.
How he got out. We don't need to see it.
Nope.
He's an acrobat.
Nope.
Oh,
we don't need to see
well,
it
that's
at
how
all.
he did it. You can't imprison acrobats because they're acrobats.
Okay, that's another thing. He's talking to the person who's going to make his Nightwing suit.
Yes.
And he actually says, this suit is going to be able to accommodate your acrobats a lot more. I'm sorry, the Robin suit was spandex. How much more flexible can you possibly be?
It was not. There were some solid parts. There were a few solid parts. The chest plate, yeah. The idea was that he could be a little bit more flexible in the chestal region.
A little bit more?
Chestal?
Yeah.
Okay.
Chestal?
Chestal. Yeah, I like
Okay.
that.
Chestal.
I'm going to use it.
Chestal.
Chestal.
The chestal region.
The chestal region.
Yeah.
Yeah. The whole point was that he was a lot more flexible everywhere.
A little bit more susceptible to knives, but you can turn your head.
But if they can't hit you,
you can turn your head.
you can turn your head.
Okay.
Wasn't that a whole Batman thing? Dark Knight?
Yes.
I mean,
He
Batman
wanted to be able to turn his head. Yes.
Yeah. You want to be able to turn your head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Dogs. Because of dogs. All because of dogs.
Big dogs. It was a big dog.
It was a big dog. I forgot how stupid that line was. But it was a big dog.
Unreal.
It is. It is totally unreal, and I think
Unreal.
that's it. That's it.
That's a
That's it. If it wasn't-
big. That's a big
Big
thing
hole.
for me. That's a big. Everything going on with Dick right now is a massively big thing for me. Why?
Well, why Batman?
Yeah, I know.
Bruce Wayne.
I know.
Bruce
And here I thought that we were going to be getting away from that. Like his transition into Nightwing is going to be him breaking the ties from Bruce. Nope.
Nah.
Nope. Still need that credit card, don't you, buddy? You still need that.
Yep. Well, he
You still
came to grips with
you still
that.
need Bruce to make phone calls for you, don't you?
Yes, he does.
You know, I'm kind of disappointed that we're taking a break from Titans after we finish this season because I'm kind of intrigued as to where they were going in the third season. What I want to do it with you guys and not.
Oh, I'm gonna watch it in my off time. Because I'm kind of curious at the same. But at the same time, I do want to take a break and get into something different. You know,
Yeah.
I'm excited that we're gonna be doing Stranger Things. It's a little bit
Yeah.
more
But the
current.
thing is, it's like everything we're talking about right now, it changes. It changes dramatically in the third season, like right off the bat. And it's like everything you guys were complaining about changes, and I go, "Oh, I actually did not see this coming, like any of it." So, and it's immediate.
Actually, to your point, Will, this show is actually more current than Stranger Things. Stranger Things season 4 ended before Titans season 4.
What I mean by more current is if we're gonna pick up Stranger Things, hopefully we'll be caught up by season 5 and we'll be able to capitalize on that.
You think they'll do a season 5?
Yes, they're already. Yeah,
It's already in production.
yeah, it's already in production. You knew. Well, I knew that. You knew that. when you get to the finale of the 4th season, you understand, oh, they're doing a season 5 because it kind of ends on a cliffhanger. Like,
Right.
it's a thing. But yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. Nobody leaves in the middle of a podcast more than he does.
He just gets up and walks away.
This is the 3rd or 4th time tonight. I mean,
Hey,
I've
guys,
had to go to the bathroom.
I'll be
I've had to
right
go to the
back.
bathroom now for an hour.
I'll be right back. Nothing.
Right. Say
Nothing.
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 I've had to go to the
Nothing.
bathroom for an hour, and I'm a big boy. I can wait until we're done, you know. But you got itsy bitsy teeny weeny bladder over here who can't
I just drank.
say something.
I just drank a giant coffee.
All we're saying is say, "Hey, I will be right back."
I did. I said, and I left.
Yeah, but we may not always be looking at you when you put your finger up.
True.
Say, "I will be." Repeat after me.
Okay.
You
You
will be right back.
will.
Child.
I was just about to say the same thing.
Not my fault. I'm right here. What? Listen, I don't have to raise my hand.
Anyway,
Like in class, like, sir, can I go to the bathroom?
No,
you
like,
don't have to
say, "Hey,
ask. Yeah, I'll be right back.
no. Just give me a sec. I'm obviously gonna be right back. I didn't run out of here with my pants or my hair on fire. Like, I'll be back.
I'll be back.
I'll be back.
What else is
I think it's
there?
better when
What
Bruce
else is there to
Willis
talk
said
about this episode? What else
I
happened?
honestly don't know. I
Did
mean,
anything
it's
else
not
of-
garbage.
Did anything
Well, I think
else
it's
of-
funny that the 17-year-old kid that's trying to save the town, he goes and he robs a laundromat.
Yeah, and he's like, I was just like laying down some Titans justice. And I'm like, what part of that was Titans justice?
You robbed the
And-
laundromat.
And then the weird thing at the end, when he explains to Hawk what he represented, it somehow like struck a chord with Hank, and he was like, "Oh, okay, I got to be doing this." I'm like, "What did that dude say that made him feel like what he was doing represented something?" He's like, "When I felt like this, I felt like I knew who I was." You knew you were a dude who was gonna like rob a laundromat?
Well, I think what hit him was the fact that this kid was thinking that this is what Hawk was all about. And he's like, but that's not what it's supposed to be about. And the fact that he was put on display what he's not supposed to be kind of rocked him a little bit.
I guess
And he's like, wait a minute.
it's not how they portrayed it.
Because,
but-
well, that's what he does. He says, but that's not what it's about. He actually has
yeah,
that
he does have that conversation.
Yeah.
So that's what so the fact that he is saying that, he's hearing his own words come out of his mouth, and he's been like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, I have to be better.
It's making Hawk realize that he's putting the wrong message out there to the world.
Right.
Yeah.
That probably struck a nerve. You know.
Especially when you sleep with women, literally.
Well,
How?
Pass out. Because he passed out. He fell asleep.
Passed out.
Literally.
The funniest thing in the world. The funniest thing in the world.
It was so funny. I'm sitting there watching, like, where is this going? Because he already had the hard time with Dove, who accepted him back in season 1. And you think he's not going to have a hard time here? And, you know,
True.
True. You know, he's trying to do his thing, and
he was also on a ton of drugs.
yeah, but he's always had this issue, though.
No, he was clean for a good chunk of time.
He had this
him
issue in the
not
first
being able
season.
to perform. He's never been able, like he's always had this problem.
And he was sticking. He was sticking the needle filled with what we still don't know what all up in his body. Like, we have no idea what this person is doing to their body. That's the whole point.
Right.
Like, and again, that's kind of a problem that I have with this character is we should be seeing.
We still don't
this.
even know anything yet.
We should be seeing a lot of this. It shouldn't just be like, oh, it's happening in the background. Oh, it's happening in dialogue. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Right. And then he just falls asleep. And I actually laughed. I was like, I can't believe he just fell asleep.
Pretty much.
Like I can understand right after the fact falling asleep, but right in the middle of it all.
Right.
And I mean, he was snoring passed out. Like,
kind of want to move.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of want to move on from him. How are we feeling about Jericho just kind of living inside of Deathstroke's mind?
Well, I mean, it was pretty obvious when he went to go talk to him and he was like shaking in the chair. I'm like, something's up here, and that makes sense. So we start to get that when we finally see that Jericho jumped into him. And I actually I did like that, sitting in the living room of Slade Wilson's mind, when they're having that conversation. It's like, how many times are you gonna do that? And then Jericho's coming back like, yeah, well, until I get out of here because you're a jerk and I hate you. Look what you did. And they're having this back and forth, and he's been in there for what, like 5 years. Sorry, 5 years.
Where's he gonna go?
Where's he gonna go? Exactly. Who's he gonna jump into?
Really?
We're gonna go Fallen here.
Yeah.
Time is on my side. Where's he gonna go? What's he gonna do? How's it gonna end? I don't remember. So I kind of do, but I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it.
I hate
But there's
it.
nobody.
gonna say
There's
it.
nobody in the immediate area for him to like
No.
jump into if he actually is able to escape. So like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're going down that road, Fallen. I mean, if there's a cat walking around,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just,
Same.
I hate to say this, but Dreamcatcher did this portrayal better.
wow. Okay.
Well, when they showed him in the
Hello, Jonesy. Yeah, I know.
when he's in the shop,
I love that mental warehouse.
Yes.
this was
the memory
this
Interesting
was-
concept. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, this was a lot
So
like
cool.
the kid show Inside Out, where they have the emotions
I didn't watch that movie.
and they're looking through a video screen. He is
Wasn't
looking
Lewis Black in there as like anger?
anger.
That's
Yeah.
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I would watch that, because Lewis Black was hilarious.
But he-
Another Starbucks.
but he's looking through a
Lewis
video.
Black. Hang on. Lewis Black was only hilarious because Bush was a buffoon. That was the only reason why Lewis Black was hilarious.
Because Bush
After
was
the Bush administration, what happened to him? His stand-up career tanked because that was his whole gimmick. I'm gonna get up on stage and I'm gonna make fun of George Bush, and everybody
don't
loved
remember
him. And when Bush left office, his career went with it.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Lewis Black, that's exactly what happened.
I miss Lewis Black.
What's he gonna do?
To be a kid in a kid's show is anger.
Sure.
A kid's movie.
Which he did.
She did.
But he's one of those guys though that you have a hard time trying to duplicate what he did.
Yeah.
He was just so
He was angry. He
Yeah.
was.
just his mannerisms, like when he would flip out all the time, like he would use his hands and his hair would go. There's not a lot of people who can mimic what he does.
No, he had his own way of doing it. But I mean, we've had tons of angry comedians. I mean, let's go back to Sam Kinison.
I will
all
be
he
right
did
back.
was. Oh, okay.
Kinnison?
Sam Kinison. That guy was nuts. He starts screaming, and you're like, okay, what's wrong with him? You remember Sam Kinison?
Yeah, I know,
Okay.
but he was kind of over the top though, right? Like he was
over the top. and Ridiculous.
Lewis, like you could buy Lewis Black ranting and raving like that at the dinner table.
Right.
I
But
could not
Sam
buy
Kinison,
Kinnison ranting and raving at a kitchen table. I couldn't do it.
No, no. I forgot what movie he was in where he played a teacher. Was it Back to School? I think he was a teacher in Back to School or something like that. And it was funny because he was just like this teacher and he's trying to be mild mannered and he freaks out like full Kinnison
Really?
style. And you're like, okay. Yeah, I think it was just a quick scene. It was kind of funny. But then like it almost reminds me, like I think back to George Carlin's stand-up. And I mean, George Carlin, as far as stand-up comedy, amazing, brilliant,
Mhm.
but as he got older, he wasn't like he always kind of had like a problem with the way the world was, but when he got older, he just became like a cranky old man and just hated everything. He wasn't like looking at it and finding the funny about it. He was just saying everything sucks. Baby on board. Look at this baby on board. Like he was just angry and just the cranky old man on the porch. He was like Clint Eastwood in El Camino at that point.
Yeah.
Just mad the whole time. And it was sad to see like that's what became of his stand-up, where like you see the last couple stand-ups he did and you're like, man, he's just a sad old man who's just upset, and he's just like, look at the way this world is, and he's sad about it, which I'm sure we're all going to be at that point when we get older. When the three of us are sitting in an old folks home saying, look at how bad this world is, that's what it's going to be like. But it was sad to see the decline of George Carlin because he was no longer finding the funny. He was just complaining.
Well, isn't that what you're supposed to do when you get old?
I guess,
Right?
but I don't know. You kind of have higher hopes for people that you used to idolize in a sense, and say, you know what, this at least he's creative about it. He just became a complainer, no longer a here's what you do. I mean, wasn't it
Well,
George
true, but
Carlin
he was at the same time he wasn't just complaining. He was offering up like practical solutions to a lot of problems when he was on stage doing that. He was just doing it in a really
was that when he
bitter.
was talking about was that when he was talking about taking one state and making it a prison and having quadrant? And it was like every now and again you'd open up a door and have one run into the other one and have them go at it.
Yeah.
That was him, right? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
And that
That
was
was
later.
Carlin.
That was later on.
Yeah, that was a lot
Okay.
later on, but he was I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know. I kind of the way that I feel about the later stage of Carlin, he was still Carlin. He was just old. And
He was
that's
just
what
exactly.
that's what any good artist does. Is they use their surroundings and their life experience and they create something with it. They don't
You
just
know.
like not all of them are meant to sail off into the sunset. So
Yeah.
obviously, like a guy like Carlin, yeah, he's gonna get on stage and complain about everything because he's an old, bitter old man and he's just mad about everything. Of course, it's
He
like
was one who had the hundred bad words,
yeah,
right? That
it's
was
like
Well, it wasn't
uh,
100. It was the Blink-182 song.
no.
Yeah.
He went on a list of 100 bad
I
words.
don't think it was 100.
He did 100 list of
One,
100
two.
bad.
no. You're thinking of You're thinking of
It was 9.
seven.
No.
No. Carlin's stand up is called seven bad words or seven dirty words.
10.
Right.
It was 10.
But he went on a list of 100.
Oh, you're right. You're right. It wasn't 10. Yeah, it was 7. Blink-182 added a few others. But they had a hidden track that was basically just saying all the words over and over again.
No. He went down a rant of 100 bad words.
I don't recall it being 100.
I'll look it up and I'll show it to you guys afterwards.
Oh, I guess. But anyway.
It reminds me, but anyways, I was gonna end with this, and then we can get back to Titans. It reminds me a lot of Bowie's last album, that opening track, Black Star. How it's just about the fact that Bowie knew he was going to die, and he wanted to turn it into an art project, and the song is amazing. I can't imagine him not doing it at that point. So that's where I come from on things like that. Like, yeah. Carlin was old. Carlin was bitter. He was mad. Everything sucked, and he wanted to talk about it. Why shouldn't he be able to?
Yeah, I get it. It was just different.
Yeah, of course.
It was always different. George Carlin, he was a dirty old man, though.
I don't think he was as dirty when he was younger, though.
He was a dirty old man.
He
I feel like
opened up. He opened up a stand-up by saying, "Isn't it funny how Ronald Reagan got an operation on his anus and George H.W. Bush got an operation on his middle finger?" He opened up a comedy sketch like that, and you can't. What do you mean he wasn't dirty?
Okay, all right.
Of course, he was dirty.
Well, here's okay. My reality is skewed because when I watch stuff back in the day, okay, like you said, you were talking about the Toxic Avenger at one point. I'm just like, I remember watching that and being like, this movie's ridiculous. You said this was raunchy, this was this was that. I'm like, I don't remember being raunchy because back then, things that were in stuff that I watched, I just kind of like, whatever, and I brushed past it. I've watched things back now, like for example, nothing I would tell anybody to watch again just because it's ridiculous, but Eddie Murphy's Delirious was hilarious. I rewatch it now and I go, like, right off the bat, I'm like, this is not something I want to watch again. I got through maybe 15 minutes and I'm like, I have to shut this off. I can't go further. I remember Goonie Goo Goo. I remember some of the ridiculous things like that. But besides that, it's like when you go back and you see things after you've matured and became a dad and changed your life around a little bit, you go back and you go, oh, this was something I probably shouldn't have watched. Okay. Got it. So George Carlin, to me, I remember some of the funny stuff that he said that was not raunchy. and inappropriate.
But that's the thing, though, is I don't remember anything that George Carlin said that wasn't raunchy.
Neither do
Okay.
I.
It was all raunchy and dirty.
Neither do I. Everything that
Well, I
George
mean, he said a
Carlin
lot of
ever
things
did
that-
was raunchy.
He said a lot of things that weren't raunchy when he was on Thomas the Tank Engine.
Sure.
Oh wow.
When he was the conductor there, the little mini dude. And then Ringo did it for a while. I don't know. You want to jump on the train?
Do you ever watch? Since we're on the topic of stand-up comedy, you guys ever watch Jeff Dunham? You know who Jeff Dunham is?
Yeah,
Kinda.
I saw
The
him a few years ago.
The
up at
ventriloquist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With Peanut and Walter.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think he's hilarious.
I think Walter is.
I think he's super talented because he literally has like 2-3-way conversations seamlessly,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all coming from his voice.
Oh yeah.
And when you watch it enough, you're like,
You forget.
you forget that it's like he's giving
it's all just one dude.
he's giving the puppets personality because they all have different voices.
Yeah,
they all
he has
have,
DID. He's got to have DID.
he's got to. They thought that Jim Carrey did.
Yeah.
I would not be
Multiple
surprised.
personality. Multiple personality.
I wouldn't be
Oh,
surprised.
with the
If Jim
stuff- with the
Carrey,
stuff he did in
Not
person.
Jim Carrey and Robin Williams.
Jim Carrey more than
No.
Robin Williams.
Yeah, Robin Williams
Have
knew
you
what he was
seen
doing.
Patch Adams?
Yes, but
Yeah.
I don't think
Neither do I.
Robin-
Robin Williams knew what he was doing.
Robin Williams knew what he was doing. I'm
Jim Carrey,
convinced.
sometimes I get confused.
I'm
I think he does.
convinced that Jim Carrey, all the time, maybe wasn't really all the way there. There's that
Me,
famous video.
Myself, and
There's
Irene was a movie about Jim Carrey's life.
Yeah. There's a famous video going on. There's a famous video going that made the rounds on the internet a little while ago about Jim Carrey when he was first getting his start, and this is before he went on Living Color, where
Yeah.
he was just walking around a city, and he was taking
yeah.
random bites of fruit or whatever and putting it back, and he
then
did it-
jumping on like the meters and stuff.
yeah,
like that.
and he did it to a giant piece of watermelon. He just shoved his face in it and
Shoved
put
his
it
face
back.
in it.
That is not comedy, in my opinion. That's you being a nuisance to society, and no rational thinking person would do that. I'm sorry.
Tom Green.
Tom Green's not
He would do
rational.
it.
I know
He would
that.
do
Tom
it,
Green's
yeah.
the furthest thing from rational.
But it's very
Exactly.
similar to what Tom Green would do. Tom Green would do ridiculous things and be like, "Oh, my producer's going to pay for this, so I can just do whatever I want."
Yeah, but
That was the
but
same
with
idea.
Tom Green, it was an act.
Yeah.
Have
With
you
Tom
guys
Green, it
seen-
was 100% an act, a persona, and that is a character that he created. Because when it faded away, he didn't know what to do.
He had no idea.
He had no idea what to do. Like, I saw him on MTV, like, my new thing now is breaking light bulbs. And it's like, this is not going to do anything, dude. And it didn't do anything. His career was absolutely over. Jim Carrey always found new ways to recreate himself. So
Right.
if he ever, like, comes out and says, like, I'm going to tell my life story, and he reveals that he has DID, I would not be surprised.
No.
What's the TV show with the 4 guys? Where they go around New York and they just
Oh, Impractical Jokers?
yes,
Yeah.
they are a menace to society.
Larry! Larry!
Have you ever seen that show?
1 or 2 episodes, maybe.
There is some
Oh,
there
man.
is some funny stuff.
There really is.
And I mean, they're going around like to random people
Scoopski potato.
having conversations. Like they go into restaurants and they pretend to be waiters, and they're like
Putting mashed potatoes.
mashed
Yeah.
potatoes on people's plates, trying to sit with somebody in a restaurant and then have them pay for a meal or eat off their plate. Like they've never like they go into like sandwich shops and they're taking orders and insulting people left, and they have one guy at the register and the other 3 are behind the scenes saying you have to say this. And if they don't say it,
Again
they
with this
lose.
stuff.
Or they go into like grocery stores and they have to put things in people's carts or take things
Oh, the
from
balloons. Flipping balloons to
people,
people.
balloons to people. It's
Mm-mm.
ridiculous.
Sounds ridiculous. It sounds
It's
ridiculous.
hilarious.
I don't mean to be the Debbie Downer of this thing right now, but people who do things like that, they need to be careful. A couple of months ago, there was a story about a guy who was trying to do what you're describing right now and pull a prank on somebody out in public, Well, the person that was getting pranked didn't appreciate it all that much. Asked him a couple of times, leave me alone, go away, blah, blah, blah. Didn't want to do it. Pulled out a gun, shot the guy. And guess what? No time. 0 time. Jury found absolute sympathy with this guy. He's not doing a day in jail.
Well, he did ask them a few times to stop.
Right.
That's different.
You did
They get caught here, they get caught.
Yeah, when
that's
these guys are told to stop, they stop.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
They
different
don't
then.
push it.
When they get caught, they're done. You know,
Like when they get
that's the whole
caught by
point.
one person, they might try and go to a different person, but they don't do it to the same person over and over again. They pull some they pull some stuff though, let me tell you.
Okay.
But I don't know about you guys, but it's getting late for me.
Yeah,
I'm
getting there.
tired.
Yeah.
And this
I'm
whole Titans experience, we've beaten this enough.
Oh yeah.
It's over.
One more episode.
One more episode.
One more question.
Just one more. So with that being said, I just want to, again, as we've been doing this, I want to share where everyone can find us aside from every podcast platform out there for the most part. You can find us on Facebook at Black and White Reviews. You can also find us on Instagram and YouTube at, that's the ampersand, at Black and White Reviews.
That's ampersand.
Oh, sorry.
Ampersand.
The at symbol.
At. Just say
At. At. But I don't want people to type, like people thinking at, and then just, it's at Black and White Reviews 1866.
At? Like an
At.
AT-AT Walker?
No, it's at with the at symbol. Does that make sense?
Just at.
At.
Just at.
We know what at means. We had
At.
emails for like 30-something years.
At.
Like regularly.
30-something years regularly, huh?
Well, yeah.
Really?
30 years? Yeah, emails have existed for a long time. And it's at an at.
When did you have an email? When did you start getting an email address?
Not when I was 6, okay?
Okay.
I had my first email
probably-
address. I had my first email address in 1995.
Okay, then. Yeah, that's about right.
AOL.
AOL at AOL.com with an at sign, not an ampersand.
I got them confused and it's late. I'm sorry. At Black and White Reviews.
That actually
1866
scared. I'm not.
is
You know
where
what?
can find
That
us
actually.
at Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah. That actually
ahead.
scares me.
Why? Because I said ampersand.
No,
versus...
No, not that. Just the thought of my old AOL accounts. Like I hope and pray that there's not like archives anywhere of like emails and like messages and like
Oh no! Like
all that stuff is gone, especially from AOL. I looked into AIM to see if I could find my old like AOL Instant Messenger things. It's like, oh no, all that stuff saved to your computer. There was no server anywhere.
Well,
no, there wasn't. But
for my Facebook, I use an old Hotmail account.
Yeah.
To log in.
Oh yeah.
But Hotmail doesn't exist.
Right.
It's now
really.
Outlook. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Outlook took over Hotmail.
Yep.
So
Yeah, it's all
Microsoft bought Outlook. I mean, bought Hotmail.
Hotmail. Yeah. they did.
Hotmail, and then they just X'd it. Like,
Yeah.
it's gone.
Bye.
So I went to hotmail.com and I was like, huh. However, I went to myspace.com.
And it will barely load, right? It's horrible.
It's there.
It's there, but in order to find something, you have to come back like 2 days later for a picture to load.
My number one friend is still Tom, though.
Is he still in Kuwait
Wow.
with that picture?
You know who uses that profile picture on Twitter?
He's still around.
Yeah.
Does he really have a Twitter page?
Tom.
dude?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
MySpace Tom. Yeah, I think so.
MySpace Tom.
And
His
he uses
name
the
on
same-
Twitter is MySpace
MySpace
Tom.
Tom.
Hang on.
Dude, I think my first email was a net zero.
Really?
It was like
That was the first free internet.
yes. Oh, I mean free email. Yeah.
Free internet.
Yes, you're right. I mean, because your internet provider was completely your email. Like you couldn't
His
just like, go to
name,
Google or
his
whatever.
name
Google
is
just-
Tom Anderson, and his
Yep.
at on Twitter is MySpace Tom.
Wait, so Tom Anderson?
Yep.
Mr. Anderson?
Yep.
Yeah,
He's Neo.
He's Neo.
and he still
He's-
uses the same picture.
There it is. Yes. Yes.
Why is saying yes?
Because
That's
Because it's old.
fantastic.
Because it's old and it's familiar and it's from 20 years ago and you don't like things to change. And oh my God, it's Tom. He's using the
So
same
I was
picture.
on-
Yes.
yes,
So,
MySpace was so much better than Facebook.
so I saw a picture on
Tom,
Facebook.
we love you.
I saw a picture on Facebook of
Come
an
back.
one of the old Nokia straight Nokia phones.
Oh yeah, with the little blue line button.
Oh.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
And on top of it,
had Snake on it.
was a bunch of numbers.
Uh huh.
And it doesn't tell you what to do. It just shows you 3 groups of numbers.
Oh yeah,
And it just brought me back to T9.
Yep.
So I read it on the phone.
If you can read this, you're old.
No, it just says you are old.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
Come on.
Yep.
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 If you can
Yes,
read this,
sir.
your knees crack in the morning.
My knees crack.
I
all the
saw-
time.
I saw one that made me mad. It was a guy opening a car door, and the old seatbelt buckle was traveling up the side of the door, right?
Yes.
And then
got
it was a
stuck
guy, that turned the camera to him and is like, "If you understand what's going on in this video, how's your back feeling this morning?" And then the video
Exactly.
just cuts, and I threw my
Exactly.
phone on the ground.
Have you seen the one where the mom puts an old rotary phone
In front of the kids.
in front of the
Oh.
kids?
Oh yeah. And they don't know how to do it. They're
And
like,
it takes
maybe
them
if you do
5
this,
minutes
like,
to figure it out.
It
yeah.
took him so yeah. I saw one video where kids couldn't figure out how to get a CD out of the case.
Yeah. Yep.
Out of the case.
Out of the
Mhm.
case. They struggled to get the CD out of the case. They were like trying to pry it off the thing, and they were like afraid that they were gonna break it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Quite.
Yep.
Interesting. Well, listen, my computer is about to. This charger is not really charging it.
Yeah. It's not
No,
a charger.
that's
Where's your
bad.
lock?
It shows that it's that's the USB, but it's showing that it's charging. It's showing that it's charging. But
I
it's-
know, but this is not a block. That's just okay. It's not pumping up the amount of amps that you need.
I get that.
Yeah, you need
Okay.
an actual
A
block.
brick.
Okay.
Yeah. It was the best I could do because I left my actual charger at
It's
home.
not the best you can do.
But with that being said,
You know the conversation's over when we start talking about things that aren't charging. So we gotta go.
Mm.
yes.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Thank you and have a good night.
Don't make me do that. Look. That's all, folks.
Goodbye, everybody.